and you think it's out of professionalism or it's the right thing to do. But with Ricky, it's complete sincerity between him and I. I know the good, the bad, the ugly of the last 4.5 years. And when I say the good, the bad, the ugly, I know what it's like to go through the amazing highs, and I'll share with you, and the amazing lows. And here's what I know about Ricky and Francois: they're fighters, and I appreciate the kind words. I want to share with you what I've seen specifically about them the last 4.5 years. I met Ricky right when they came over. I had partnered with Dallin. I moved to Utah October 23rd of 16. And I met Ricky and Francois right after that. And I knew they had some success at a previous company, but they didn't have a ton of experience in the industry, and I could care less. And honestly, tonight, I don't care who's on here and what industry experience you have. I care about what's inside of you. And we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. I care about not so much where you came from, and I'll share with you a little bit of my background. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it because I want to talk about the future and where we're headed. I used to be very embarrassed, by the way, to share with people. I'd be at a social function, or I'd be at a dinner or a business dinner with a client, and somebody'd ask me, "Oh, share with, you must have come from a really good family, and you must have had a really good education and had things, a good side of the train track, so to speak." And flat out, I came from the other side. And had you seen Daniel 20 years ago, I don't know. First off, none of you guys would have logged in here to hear me tonight. I had a lot of growing to do. I came from a background. My mom's been married multiple times. I told her, and this is out of respect, I love my mom, but at some point it's not Tonto, it's the Lone Ranger, right? And I say that again out of kindness. But I came from a background. Mom married multiple times. I've got every type of ick in my family. What's an ick? Well, alcoholic, gambling addict, drug addict. I've got them all in my family, and so I can relate to them. I've got a little brother that struggles. He came to the Viseo convention, and he's struggling. He's had some very tough struggles. He came to the Viseo convention in Vegas, and I shared with everybody. Dallin was so kind to bring him up on stage, and man, that was a special moment. But we didn't come from much, and not just materially, but we didn't come from a lot of guidance. And I think that's so important, because I think so many people might not come from much. If you're watching this, you're like, my family didn't have. I tell people we had the opposite of money, which is no money, by the way. But it wasn't so much that. It was, we didn't have anybody to guide us. I never had one person. I can't remember one person ever sitting me down and saying, "What homework do you have? Tell me about your friends." We just never had that. My little brother's 5 years younger than me. We never had any guidance. And so at 13 years old, my brother was 8. The state came in and said, my mom was an unfit parent. That was a legal term. They assigned what's called a guardian ad litem, a GAL. And that's an attorney. I was told, I still remember, I've got a decent memory. I remember being 13 years old, 6 days before Christmas, December 19th, and being told, "Hey, meet this nice lady. She's going to come see you once a month. She's your new guardian that the state assigned." True story. In a 2.5-year period, I saw her about 5 or 6 times, and over a 2.5-year period. With that said, I was in group homes, and they call it foster care, which I met some amazing people. The good Lord upstairs, and I try to separate faith from business a lot, but the good Lord upstairs always had his hand on me, always was looking out for me. I was very, very fortunate to meet some amazing people. And I was in state's custody for 2.5 years. And I left that at almost 16 years old with one thing. I left it with 2 things, but the biggest thing I left it with is I left it with a confidence of, if I can go through this, what's the worst thing that can happen to me? I used to think that at 16 and 17. I've already been in state's custody. I've seen the worst of the worst. I've seen some stuff that's indescribable. How could it be any worse? It's going to go up from here. And I also left with the thought of, I want to figure out the people on the other side of the tracks. I want to figure out why, when I was in state's custody, I'd drive by someplace in Denver and I'd see this golf course, and this guy's out there golfing with their caddy in this massive home, and on the other side of town, and I'd say, what did he do? Why does he live that way? And why am I being told that anybody with any type of money or any type of success did something nefarious to get it, right? I never understood that mentality. And so I started at a very young age to throw myself into personal development. And that's why I'm such a big fan of personal development and growth. I would encourage everybody on here, you'll never be bigger than your own growth. I'm a big believer in that. Jim Rohn talks about, I pity the man that inherits $1 million, but doesn't have the skill set to go with it. By the way, I used to listen to that in my early 20s, and I used to go, man, 1920, I'd say, man, give me the $1 million. I don't need the skills, right? How ignorant was I back then? Because I was looking at just what I could get with $1 million versus who I would become. And so started my first company. I've sold 2 companies. I've been very, very, very fortunate the last 20 years through hard work, through educated decisions, through a lot of luck. I think we leave out luck so often. I love luck. Network marketing is incredible. We're a binary comp plan. The harder you work, the luckier you get. You can literally find the right people by going through the numbers because it's a numbers game and you get lucky. I love what Ricky said. When you go through the numbers, you're going to find the winners. I see people on here that, I see Lauren Richards. I tell Lauren's story all the time. Diamond while she was pregnant, goes diamond while she's pregnant, calling me, Shannon and Lauren, and they're driving all over the great state of Texas to go diamond. I see Tanya Valentine on here. It doesn't matter what happens in Tanya's organization. Guess what? Tanya doesn't quit. I see David and Cassie Juarez on here. These are people, these are champions. These are people that don't give up. I see Shanna on here. What an amazing time my wife and I had with Shanna on the Africa trip for Hearts and Hands for Humanity. That was absolutely incredible. And so Ricky talks about the similarities in our background. And yes, we've got a lot of similarities. One of the things I respect the most about Ricky, he never gave up on himself. Ricky never quit. Ricky said, you know what? If it's to be, it's up to me. And I had a very similar philosophy. Now, fast forward to 2016. I've been friends with Dallin since January of 15. Fast forward to the summer of 16. And Dallin says, I'm going to do it a third time. I'm going to do it one more time. Daniel, I know you've sold a couple companies. And I told him I flew out. I actually made 3 trips to Utah. I remember an email from Dallin after the first trip. He said, I've never had to convince somebody to be my business partner. I had so many questions for him. My mom and grandma both said growing up, my favorite word was why. True story. I asked everybody. I annoyed everybody. All I would say growing up is why. Well, tell me about this. Why? I used to tell people all that. If you don't go to school, then you'll never be a success. Why? Tell me why. They can never answer that question, by the way. So I was always asking the question, why? So fast forward to 2016, Dallin and I had an 18-month friendship. And he says, I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to build a third and final company. He had done billions of dollars in direct sales in this space. And he says, I want to do it one more time, but I want to do it with the right intentions. I want to make sure we're doing it with the right intentions. We're helping to grow people. And that if people are with Viseo, they're better people because they were with Viseo. That really resonated with me. And so at my third trip, I decided to partner with Dallin. I looked Dallin in the eyes. I made some promises. By the way, I've kept all those promises. By the way, keep your promises. That's one of the greatest things you can do every day is just keep your commitments, make a to-do list and keep your commitments. Harvard University wasted $22 million 5 or 6 years ago. And they did a whole study, true story. They did a whole study on self-esteem. And at the end of the study, after 1 year, Harvard figured out the number one component to improve your self-esteem and your confidence, following through with what you said you were going to do that day. So I'd encourage everybody, keep your promises, even if they're little. If you tell somebody you're going to call them back, call them back. We've all made the mistake. I've had 15 calls to return and I forget 2 of them. And I have to call the person in the morning and go, I'm so sorry. I told you I'd call you last night. It's the next morning. But be that person, be that person that people can count on. And so I made Dallin some promises. And I told Dallin, I'm going to go work at this thing night and day, 8 to faint. The first Viseo office, our little hole in the wall office over in Lehigh. I had a little cot there. My dog who passed away, I had my dog for 12 years. Darcy and I lived at the office. I was there night and day. And guess what I did? I picked up the phones. I answered the phones with brand partner support. Why? Because I wanted to know what our customers were saying. I wanted to know what our brand partners were saying. I took out the trash. I ordered the pizzas. I got to know our team. I got to know our people. And I earned the respect from inside out. I didn't walk in expecting it. By the way, that's a big deal in network marketing. I think so many people, if they have had some past success, they say, you know who I am? You should follow me based on who I am. No. A good leader is not worried about the power they hold. A true leader is worried about their ability to empower others. And I think so often people look at, well, I've done this before. You need to follow me. I didn't walk in with an attitude, I've sold 2 companies. I walked in with the attitude of, this is a startup. And as Dallin said, as he was ending the call tonight, fantastic call. As he was ending the call, he said, Daniel views us as a startup. And when he said that towards the end of the call, he's absolutely right. I do view us as a startup. I don't care, no disrespect to anyone on here, what you've made or what you haven't made in Viseo. I look at us literally as a startup company. I look at us as a company that has all the products, all the science. We know our products work. We have 100+ people on here. We don't need to debate the science of the product. We have a medical doctor we just added from Japan today, Dr. Naoko. What incredible lady, most prestigious medical institution in Japan. She joined us. So it's not on trial if the products work. We know the products work. We have the science. We have the capital. We have the management. I brought on incredible executives the last couple of years that are helping us with manufacturing and global supply chain so we can go build what we set out to build, which is a massive company. Ricky asked me at the very beginning, he says, Daniel, touch on the qualities that you see in the last 4.5, 5 years. What are the qualities that you see to go build a big business? And I want to touch on those for a few minutes. It's not what I plan on covering, but I think it's very important. I appreciate Ricky's question. The first thing that's so critical, number one, you better have a massive, massive dream. I know you've heard that at conventions. I know people talk about you better have a why that makes you cry. Guys, however you want to state it, a why that makes you cry. Maybe it's taking out the family. For me, it was very simple things. I don't share this story, but one of the things I share is when I was in my early 20s, being able to go to a restaurant, not worry about the prices. Why is that a big deal? Because I was always yelled at for a Totino's 99-cent pizza. So for me to go out and have steak and lobster on a Friday night, not worry about the cost, that was a big deal. One of the biggest deals, and I've never shared this publicly, I was sharing it with my wife on a walk recently. My grandma at the end of her life, my grandma passed away in 2002. My grandma was 83 years old. And my mom's mom, my grandma at the end of her life, the last 2 years, I was very young. I was in my 20s. I was starting to make some money. I was able to pay for her to be in a beautiful healthcare center, assisted living center for 20 months, not quite 2 years, but 21 months. I paid that. I can remember paying it once a month. And boy, did I feel like I was walking on the moon because I was taking care of my grandma that was so good to me. So I don't know what it is for you. I don't know if it's a new car. Maybe you've never owned one. I don't know if maybe you've never owned a house. Maybe you've got a beautiful home, but you got a first and a second mortgage. Maybe, I don't know what it is for you. I don't even know if you can dream again. Maybe you haven't been on a trip in 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know what it is, but here's what I can tell you. I'm here to help you. Paseo's here to help you. Ricky and Francoise are here to help you achieve whatever it is. So number one, you better have something bigger than yourself. That's number one. For a quality, for a trait, you better have something bigger than yourself to write down and chase. The second thing is, I really don't think most people, I love Ricky. It's relentless. That resonated the first time I heard Ricky and Francois said it, it resonated with me immediately. Why? I think people have forgot how to be persistent. I think people forgot, we used to talk about persistence and how important persistence was and how when, you never gave up as a kid. I sold world's finest chocolate and had 2 paper routes and I did everything I could before and after state. I did everything I could to make money. Sold candy out of my locker. They used to call me Dan the Candy Man. True story. And I did everything I could. And so I would challenge you, how persistent are you? If you think somebody needs our products, look, there's a level of annoyance as well. Somebody tells you after the 3rd phone call, to lose my number, please respect that. But most people have to say no 7 times before they're smart enough to even say yes. And then you call them with a business opportunity. I'm going to be real with you. I don't know anybody on here that woke up and raised their hand in their junior or senior year of high school. Mary, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a network marketer. I've always wanted to be a network marketer. That's my goal in life, network marketer. No one out of 100 people on here said that in school. But what you did say, like Ricky said, is he wanted to be an entrepreneur. He wanted to be in business for himself. I wanted to be in business for myself before I even knew what the word entrepreneur was. I wanted to go out and achieve something. I wanted to be the best at what I did, no matter what that was. And so I would encourage everybody. The second thing is, how persistent are you really? I know this about Ricky and Francoise, they're relentless. Ricky and Francoise are bringing people into their business that they've been talking to for 18 months, 2 and 3 years, and they never gave up on them. Some of their best people, they never gave up on. Julie Graham was fantastic on the call by the way tonight. Ricky was talking about the call she got on when she was out boating with her friends. That was my Saturday call. And in the background, here's what I can say. I had a couple people text me and say, sounds like Julie's having a great time. I said, I'm jealous. Sounds like she was having a blast. Great job tonight. And great job, Julie. You're building an amazing business. And so the second thing I would say is persistence. How, and I just saw Ricky's message, 4 years of recruiting Julie, 4 years, he didn't give up. Thank you, Ricky, for sharing that. The third thing I'd share, number one, is you better have a big dream and a big why. Number 2 is persistent. How persistent are you really? How bad do you want it? Man, I was so hungry when I was young. It resonates with me when I listen to Les Brown say, you got to be hungry. That was me. I was hungry. The third thing I would ask of everybody on here is your commitment, not just your persistence, but your commitment. By the way, there's a big difference. It's one thing to be persistent in short bursts and keep in touch with people and follow up. We all know the fortunes in the follow up. It's another thing to be truly committed. By the way, I need to see one thing to know that you're committed. I just need to see your phone, your calendar on your laptop or your phone. I don't need anything else. I don't need to hear from, I don't care your background the last 10 years. I don't need any of that. You show me your calendar on your phone the next 30, 60, 90 days. I'll show you if you're committed to the sale. Do you have every company call in there? Do you have every team call Ricky and Francois are doing? Do you have every team Zoom Ricky and Francois are doing? Do you have your upline Zooms in there? Do you have Holly and Corbin Zooms the presentations are doing? Do you have the scientific advisory call in your calendars? If you don't have them in your iCalendar, shame on you. Or whatever you use, Google, whatever calendar you use, Outlook, whatever you use, shame on you if you don't have them in your calendar. I can look at your phone and tell you what your business is going to look like in the next 30, 60, 90 days based on touches and the people you're bringing in and the activity level in your business over the next 30, 60, 90 days. So the third thing I would ask you is, what's your commitment? How committed are you really? The fourth thing, and I think one of the most important things, is growing yourself. And I touched on it a minute ago. Guys, every day you need to be feeding your mind. Every day you need to be feeding your mind. You need to be something every day. I was in the dentist chair this afternoon. Fun, right? I got to go back 18th, 8 a.m. on the 18th of October. It's a Monday, way to start your week, for my last dental appointment. But I was in the dental chair today for 2 hours, a little over, like 2 hours and 2 hours and 10 minutes. It was not fun. I've got good teeth, but I got a crown. It was not fun. With that said, you know what I did for about an hour? Probably an hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes. Well, they had me laying on my back. The girl said, "You want to watch a movie?" They had the, the TV, the flat TV above you, all that. I said, "No, I'll just be on my phone." I plugged in headphones on my phone on my right ear. And today was John Maxwell. And I listened and I listened and I listened and I educated myself. My car is a rolling university. I'd encourage everybody on here to do the same thing. Maybe it's a Viseo recording from a presentation you liked. Maybe it's John Maxwell. Maybe it's Les Brown. Maybe it's your pastor. Maybe it's somebody that has nothing to do with Viseo. It's your pastor, but he just resonates with you and he lifts you up and he inspires you. I'd encourage everybody on here, get something that inspires you. Get something that makes you reach and makes you become more than who you are. The last thing for traits, and these are a little different. I'm not just giving you character traits. Here's the last thing I would share with you that I think is so important. If I called all 107 people that are on here right now, and I said, who are the people that challenge you the most in your life? I bet you 80 out of 106, 107 people don't have anybody that challenge them. I bet Ricky and Francois might be the only people you have that challenge you, or maybe your upline, maybe Lauren, because I know Lauren, man, with that Texas accent, she ain't afraid to challenge. She just says it like it is. I just know how she is. Hey, you want to get Brilliant's business? You better be sponsoring people, right? I know how Lauren is. I love it. I love Lauren. Lauren and Jared are just fantastic, and Shannon. They're just amazing people. But I would ask you, who do you have that's challenging you on a daily basis? My biggest growth, by the way, early 20s, mid 20s. I had a gentleman that's passed away, Lebanese gentleman, that was just such a massive help, a mentor slash friend slash love hate, because he would tell me things I needed to hear. And at the time I wasn't mature enough to take in the message. I would ask you, who do you have in your life right now that's willing to challenge you? Not telling you what you want to hear, but telling you what you need to hear. There's a big difference. I learned a lot from Dallin at the beginning about relationships and connecting with people. I learned a tremendous amount. I was great at building a business and strategy and global strategy and companies, and I'd done great. But I learned the connection, the relationship. I learned a lot sitting at his feet and taking notes with a legal pad. I still have those notes, by the way, from the last couple of years. So I would ask everyone on here, and you don't need to give me the answer. You need to give you the answer. Who do you have in your life that challenges you? Have you been telling people you're going to go gold for the last year and you haven't even picked up the 400-pound phone to call anybody? You better get somebody that's going to challenge you. Ricky and Francois, one of the things I love about their relationship, they can give it to me. I can give it to them. I always know it's out of love. Always. Ricky and Francois both want this company to be the best company that can possibly be. And it's always been out of love. Always. They've always said, we want to go. Let's go. How do we do this? How do we get this to this next level? What do we need to do? Everything, the right intention. And so I want to ask you a few things. Number one, do you know what the intentions are of us? We started out to build a large company to help 1 million people with our products. We barely have touched the surface. We want to help 1 million people with a value-based business opportunity. We barely touched the surface. We want to bless 1 million men, women, and children in Africa with clean drinking water. We've barely touched the surface. I was over there a few months ago with Shanna Kurtz and a number of people, 22 people that went over there with us. What an amazing trip, by the way. Put that on your bucket list. I'll be real candid with you. As a Caucasian gentleman that grew up in Denver, as a street kid in state's custody, I was with a lot of different races, Hispanic, Black. One of my closest friends is African American. He's such an amazing guy. He's Black. He's the best. And I never had it it just wasn't on my goal list through my 20s to go to Africa. It's a place I always thought it'd be neat, go to safari, visit. It was never on my goal list and in my heart to go make an impact there, because I always looked at it selfishly. Like, man, there's a lot of people in Colorado, a lot of people in Florida, there's a lot of people in California, there's a lot of people that need to be touched, right? And I got to tell you, I was wrong. And when you go over there and you see the level, when you see that a poor person in the US lives like a wealthy person over there. If you've got an apartment here in the US and one vehicle and two TVs, you're winning at life compared to over there. You're winning at life. Okay. So it completely changed. And when you see the stories and it resonates, you don't understand till you're really there. The pictures didn't do it justice the last 3.5 years. I wish I had gone sooner. It's one of the biggest mistakes I've made. If I had to do it over again, I would have gone the first year, so that when I got up on stage and shared with people, I would have had a real experience of what I saw. It was life-changing to be over there. My wife actually said to me at one point, I would play soccer with these kids and we'd kick the ball and do so many fun things. I'd tell jokes and have fun, and the best that they could understand, and have dance competitions. And my wife said, it's hard for you to let go of some of this, because I think some of this resonates with you. And she was absolutely right. I could see myself in some of those kids, 12, 13, 14 years old, man, with their amazing smiles and beautiful hearts. And so I would ask you, who do you have to challenge you? You might know what your why is. You might be persistent. Are you committed? Who do you have in your life that's going to challenge you? The last thing I want to add, and I think it's so important as you're building a business, I want everybody to have long-term vision. I think it's so critical. Our industry has done a big disservice the last couple of years, because there's been all this crazy get-rich stuff. There's just all this crazy stuff, right? This person's making XYZ after 6 months, and it never lasts. Show me a real company. I can name you the 10, 11, 12 companies that do $1 billion plus a year on the product side. There's only 3 on the service side in our industry. There's been tens of thousands of companies start up. It takes something special to last. And so I'd encourage all you guys, do you have the long-term vision? Do you have the grit? Do you have the edge? And that's what I'm going to end with. I was reading, Jack Welch is one of the greatest, I think, CEOs and mentors in business. He's passed on. And a lot of you guys might know him. Maybe you don't. You can Google him. Jack Welch, Welch. But Jack Welch took GE when they were failing and miserable and borderline upside down and bankrupt, and he turned it into one of the greatest success stories in American business history. And he did it, and he had his own philosophy. And I've always loved Jack Welch's philosophy. I've always loved what he shared with everybody, his passion. He said, number one, you better have passion. He says, you got to have 4 E's and a P. Jack Welch said, if you want to go do something, you better have 4 E's and a P. He said, number one, you better have energy. What's energy mean? You got to have the energy every day. You got to eat right. You got to be in good shape. You got to be able to lead people and have energy. Guys, in our business, that's so important. Ricky and Francoise have energy. Shanna has energy. David and Cassie have energy. Lauren Richards has energy. You got to be able to lead people. So number one, Jack Welch said, do you have the energy? And just look up, by the way, Jack Welch's 4 E's and a P. That's what it's called. 4 E's and a P. He said, number one, you have the energy. He said, number two, can you energize others? That's so important. I had an employee at the office last week say, you know what I remember the most at our old company and at our old office and here? Every morning you'd walk in 7 a.m. at the office, and we'd be getting there, 6:45, Brand Partner Sport be opening up for the East Coast. And they said, I just remember you walking every single day for the first 2 years. I said, I wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. Right? Every day at the office, I'd put on music for the first 30, 40 minutes, and I'd blast it out of my computer. Why? Because I wanted to get the energy up. Tony Robbins talks about changing your state, your paradigm, changing your state. I want to get the energy up. So number one, Jack Welch talks about, do you have the energy? Number two, can you energize others? That's so important. Can you energize your coworkers? Can you energize your downline? Can you give energy to the new person that doesn't even know what an opportunity, how big this opportunity is? So number two is, can you energize others? Number three is an edge. Do you have an edge? Here's what I know about Ricky and Francoise. They have an edge. They're different. You can sit down with them after 15, 20 minutes in a conversation, and you can know Ricky's intensity. You can know that he's not here to mess around. You can know that he's here to help people. You can know that they're here to build a big company. You can listen to Francoise, how on point she is talking about our products and the science behind them with her nursing background. They have an edge to them. I'd ask you, what's your edge? What do you have to you that makes you different? Do you have the edge? The last thing. The fourth E is execution. Can you deliver? It's as simple as that. Can you deliver? By the way, our industry is filled with talkers. It's filled with talkers. Ricky asked me to share with everybody, what have you seen the last few years? I've seen a ton of talkers. I haven't seen a lot of walkers. I came in here 4.5 years ago. I said, I watch people's feet, not their lips. Anybody can talk a good game. Anybody can tell you they work hard. Are you the first one at the office? Are you the last one at the office? Are you the first one picking up the phone? Here's what I know about Ricky and Francoise, and my respect level is literally up to here with Ricky and Francoise and how they run. Ricky and Francoise always, there's not a promotion that's being run, a contest that's being run, a trip that's being run on a promotion that they don't go out and chase. Always. They always say, watch this. Cabo, I'm not telling my team to go run Cabo till Francoise and I go knock out Cabo. And they go and they tell their team they knock out Cabo. They do it. My respect level for that, the cruise, they pack out the cruise with some of the largest teams on the Gold Cruise. Fantastic. By the way, I can't wait till we have another cruise. I was so disappointed not being able to have a cruise. So I had to ask you, do you have the edge and do you know how to execute? And what I mean by execute is, do you know how to go out there and build? By the way, if you don't know, this is the greatest business in the world. We'll teach you. You can earn while you learn. I don't know of another. This is the greatest equalizer, this industry. It's unbelievable. You're old, you're older, and you don't have somebody young with the energy, go sponsor somebody young. You don't have the education, you're not an MD, you're not comfortable getting up in front of the room, go sponsor somebody that has the credentials and is comfortable in front of the room. You don't have a business background, go recruit somebody. You can recruit what you're not. It's so powerful. So I'd ask you, do you know how to execute? If you don't, Ricky and Francoise can teach you. They've got a system for a reason. The last thing, there's 4 E's and a P. The P is passion. Jack Welch said, you can have everything else. You can have an edge. You can have the charisma. You can know how to execute. He says there's a lot of CEOs know how to execute and they execute with no passion and they can't energize because they don't have the energy and they can't get people behind them. Go read the 4 E's and a P. So I'd ask you guys, do you have the passion for what we're doing? You got to be a maniac. There's got to be something in you that says, you know what? I'll sacrifice the next couple of years. I'll do today what others won't so I can live tomorrow like others can't. For years on my bathroom mirror in a blue Post-it note, for years, I put up right there in the mirror. And I'd memorized it right away, but I wanted to see it. I learned from a mentor. It sounds corny, but it worked. Blue ink. Your subconscious always remembers blue. So I write everything down in blue, by the way. I don't know, own a pen if it's not blue. And so I learned from my mentor a saying, and I stole that saying and I put it up on my mirror, and it said, a leader of one is a leader of many. If I can't lead one, I'll never lead any. A leader of one is a leader of many. If I can't lead one, I'll never lead any. Who is that one? It's me. So I'd challenge you, if you recruited you, what would your downline look like? If you recruited you, do you stop at 4 p.m. or do you stop at 10 p.m. because you helped 3 to 4 more people tonight? Ricky, it's been amazing getting on here. I love what's happening with your team. I love what you and Francoise are doing. I want everybody to write down a couple dates. I'm going to be in Jacksonville with Ricky and Francoise on November 3rd at 7 p.m. Look at the corporate calendar, as Dallin mentioned towards the end of the call tonight. I'm going to be hitting, I think I've got 4 cities right now. Colorado Springs. If you know anybody in Colorado Springs, write down these dates. They'll be posted in the next 24, 48 hours as we get some addresses and information. I'm going to be in Colorado Springs on October 20th, here in a couple short weeks. I was raised in Denver and born in the Springs at Eisenhower Hospital. So I'll be going back minutes from where I was born. Pretty cool. Colorado Springs, October 20th, 7 p.m. meeting. Check the calendar for that. I will be in Kansas City, November 16th. Check the calendar for that. The next day I'll be in Boston, November 17th with Melissa Duty, one of our diamonds. She is fantastic. She's going to be packing it out. If you know anybody in the Northeast area, guys, anyone, I want to see Ricky and Francois' teams expand to the Northeast. If you know anybody in the New York, New Jersey, Boston, Philadelphia, any of those areas, plug them into that meeting on November 17th. And again, I will be with Black Diamonds, Ricky and Francoise at 7 p.m. on November 3rd. Francoise is planning the location. We'll get that up in the corporate calendar as soon as possible. We'll get graphics out so you can start promoting. Bring people, guys, pack it out with guests. Teach your people, by the way, the best way to have guests is you show up with guests. Best way to have guests is go pick up guests and bring them and pack them in. But here's the deal. I'm not coming down there for another 3 weeks. I'd encourage you and I'd challenge you. What can you do in the next 3 weeks? Don't wait for me to come down to bring your guests. Get your guests on 3-way connect calls with Ricky and Francoise. Get your guests connected to your upline. Let's move the needle the next 3 weeks. Let's get guests involved. Let's get new people involved. Let's get new stories involved. We have new platinums. We got so many new stories, guys. I want to do whatever it takes the next 3 weeks to build for when I come in there on November 3rd. I couldn't be more proud of our leadership, the team we have, the team we're assembling. Our field leadership is absolutely just incredible to see what's happening. And our collagen product, guys, collagen and active and our new CBD. I heard a CBD story today from Tracy. that he had heard out in Boston that was unbelievable. I don't want to spoil the beans, so I'm going to have Tracy share it about our new CBD. But guys, you've got to get these life-changing products in people's hands. I'm loving where this company's headed. We're going to build one of the big companies. We're a startup company. To me, and we've had this pandemic the last 2 years, year and a half. To me, we're just getting started. As Dallin says, that I always say, we haven't even scratched the scratch of the surface. So Ricky, it's been an honor. Guys, I want to thank everybody as I close. It's the most valuable thing you have is your time. I'm a big believer in that. And I take time away from my family to get on Zooms and calls and live at the office. And every one of you take time. It's 10:30 back East Coast time, and you guys are taking time away from your families. That is not lost to me. I don't take that lightly. So I hope this was worth it. Ricky, Francoise, Ricky, thank you so much for having me on this evening. Thanks for organizing this. And thank you to all of our leadership. This has been fantastic.
Absolutely. Thank you, Daniel. Love you, brother. You did amazing. I think Daniel's got a background in public speaking and motivational speaking, right? So it's just beautifully put together. And yeah, I was going to share the Jacksonville meeting. You know, I know there's people on here who's like, man, I wish Daniel was coming to my town. Well, you can make him come to your town. I mean, we did not know one person in this company. All we did is go out and sponsor people. And that's what I want to end tonight with. It's October 5th. The ending of Cabo qualification is November 29th. Only thing I can go by is experience, right? And what, you know, whenever that I'm seeing any kind of lag in my business, I'll tell you what I do. I pick up the phone, or I run into someone and I show them the liposomal video, and then I do a connect and I get them in the business. Every single one of you can do this. And this just recently, what we did is we went out and sponsored people. Julie Graham, 4 years of contacting her, showed her the premiere video, said, this is the time you want to get involved. We're going to explode this. She's Blue Sapphire now. Ran into Shonda at the beach, said, hey, you know, we haven't seen each other in a long time. She contacted me. I said, I want to show you what we're doing. She's Blue Sapphire. There's a doctor in Miami that is Blue Sapphire now. How did that happen? David and Cassie sponsored him. They sponsored new blood. Listen, new blood will get rid of all your pain in this profession. I'm telling you, you just got to go out there. And here's what I want to challenge you with. It's October 5th. You have literally 3 months until 2021 is finished. How long are you going to keep kicking the can down the road? I know there's people on here who go, okay, well, it's about the end of the year. I'm just going to kind of glide into January, and 2022, I'll do it again. No, you won't. If you won't do it now, you're not going to do it then. Like, how long are you going to keep putting off your dreams, your freedom? Anytime my wife and I, or Lindy Turner, she's one of the most powerful sponsoring people in our business. I think she's like 2 or 3 in all of Ucrew Nation for the year. What does she do? She just goes and sponsors another person. Goes and sponsors another person. Not everyone is going to go diamond, but guess what? You're not just building a person that builds a business. You're building someone that takes the product. That's how you build a massive residual income. Not everyone has to go out and build it. So your job is not only get them in the business, but if they're not going to build the business, you get them educated on the products. You get them educated on how to take the products. You make sure they're actually taking the products. And with that, guess what? If they're in the pot long enough, the crock pot. My wife and I were in our last company for 7 years on the products. 7 years. There's a lot of people in your business that you sponsored that haven't done a dang thing. Well, guess what? Ricky and Francoise was that person for 7 years. We just took the products on and off. We weren't even on auto ship a lot of times. And then something changed in our life, and we reached out. Francoise reached out to her sponsor, and her sponsor changed the paradigm of thinking, of not going to nursing, but doing this profession. 7 years. How many people that you have given up on or said that it's not going to do anything, that in 7 years, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, they jump out of the crock pot, they go black diamond. They build over $3 million of wealth in this profession. How many people? So your job is to love on the person, but a bigger job for you is to be the example, to go out and set the pace, to show them that you are an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs show up every single day. There's no employee. Listen, employees show up when they're told to. Entrepreneurs show up every single day, regardless if someone's watching or not. And the real ones, the one that goes out and build massive wealth like Daniel Picou has, he has a Ferrari before this company. How did he do that? He went out and showed up every single day when people weren't watching, because that's what entrepreneurs do. You have to look yourself in the mirror and say, look, I got 90 days. I got October, November, December. Am I going to stay in this rut? Listen, ruts are easy to stay in. You eat about the same time every single day because your body's used to it. If you keep on doing nothing every single day, guess what? Your body gets used to it. It's hard to take a step out of that rut, but eventually when you start to change the steps in a different process, it becomes the norm. For Lindy Turner, sponsoring is normal because she does it all the time, right? So you have to decide, look, I got 3 months to take what I learned from Daniel tonight, what I've seen other people do, Shanna Kurz, all these leaders that's on here, Julie Graham that you just heard from, what has she done? She's top 3 in Ucrew Nation of sponsoring. This is not rocket science. It's really not. I promise you. You talk to enough new people over and over and over and follow up with the ones you talk to, you'll build a massive business. I don't have no secret for you. I know people are looking for the big secret. Here's the secret. Open your mouth and talk to people. That's all you have to do over and over and over and over. And guess what? It never stops. That is what this business is called. It's called network marketing. If we need to look up the definition of marketing, then do it. Marketing never stops in network marketing. You are the advertisement. You are the marketing. So get out of your head, get into your heart. That Viseo, you can look around. I was standing in the back of a room this week, last night, and had goosebumps from my head to my toes, listening to a woman that's been on these products for a couple of weeks. She's not even the same person. She doesn't even look the same. She looks like a light bulb now. When I first met her, she looked tired, worn out, just not happy. But you could still see the dim light in her. What did Viseo do? She got on the products. She got on the Pro Pack, and it's changed her life. Paula is a different woman. Think about that for a second. If you've not listened to her testimony, get on Ucrew Nation Facebook page and take the time. These little videos, they will do something for you more than what I can do for you. It will spark belief. And when you have belief, you're like rhino skin, right? You go out and share this. Someone else's story can change your life. But think deeper. If I didn't share it, because I just went to high school with Shonda, more than 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 26, I'm old. What if I would have said, oh, we haven't seen each other in 26, 27 years. I'm not sharing Viseo. No, because I knew if I shared it with Shonda, it could change her life and it could change Paula's life. Paula's on here tonight. What does she say right there? Not only did it change her health, but look what she wrote, dreaming again. How many people are around you that have turned the light off, that decided, this is the rest of my life. I'm going to accept this. And God has placed you on this earth to turn that light back on. How many people of the 96 that stayed this long, that have been relentless, are going to say, hey, tomorrow, October 6th, I'm going to change my rut. I'm going to jump out of that rut that I'm doing every single day. And for the next 90 days, I am going to go out and lead with my heart, because Viseo, I mean, you can watch the liposomal video, 400% increase, 400%. If you want to make it real simple to your friends after you show them Paseo, it's 400% better than what's out there, period. And with that, we have some amazing stories, just like Paula's, that happen every single day. Imagine the fulfillment, the impact Daniel has. Why does he get on this? Because the stories come every single day over and over on his level. And that is bigger than any paycheck, I promise you. Me standing in the back of the room, hearing Paula's story, I promise you on my kids, impacts my heart more than a check. I promise you. If I could just stand and hear story after story after story, I would do this for free, honestly, because there is nothing better than seeing a woman have to hold back the tears from just a simple changing her choice and taking products from Paseo. That if somebody like Shonda didn't share it with her, what would happen? She wouldn't have said dreaming again. So I challenge you as we get off, please take these last 90 days of 2021 and make it serious. Take your dream serious, take your freedom, but also the freedom people are praying about. If you heard Paula's story, she was trying everything to get her health back. Everything, going all kind of doctors, everything. And a natural product came along and it changed her life. Don't wait to 2022. Set up 2022 now, because you don't want to start January and then 6 months into 2022, you start to see the fruit. If you go out and you sow and you plow, I promise you, you'll be blessed more than I can put in words. I love each and every one of you. And I pray God blesses you immensely, gives you anointing and favor and the grace, which is the empowerment to go out and do things that you can't do in your own strength, but he can do through you. And it'll lead you to people like Paula. It'll lead you to Cabo. It'll lead you to the Gold Cruise, the Blue Sapphire fly-in. It'll lead you to being on stage like Lauren Richards with her mom surprising her and Lauren crying. It was one of the best memories in this profession for me to watch Lauren celebrate Diamond after being pregnant. I've never seen someone work like that, like she did by herself, pretty much driving. I didn't mean by herself, it was a team, but to do that, driving one way 3 to 4 hours and then turn around, do it back. She did it. She did it. But the fruit of that, to watch that experience, that accomplishment on stage, it's just amazing. But if you decide to take this business seriously, it'll lead you to them Lauren moments. It'll lead you to people like Shanna going over to Africa and seeing that impact. So guys and gals, this is so dominated by gals. Guys, let's show them what's up. And girls, keep doing your thing. Let's go out and bless 1 million lives on this team. Love you guys. God bless. I hope you enjoyed this. Put me to work. I'm ready to go.